Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pradeep Chakraborty, editor for Dataquest at Cyber Media. I am your host for today's webinar. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to a live webinar titled Building a Roadmap for OT Cybersecurity. For the duration of the presentation, all the participants' line will be on a listen-only mode. After the presentation, we will be having a question and answer session. Your feedback is very important to us. Kindly submit it at the end of the webinar. Next. Can you please run my PPT? Next. Next. So let's start. I'm sure nearly all of you are aware of the Industrial Internet of Things, or Industry 4.0. At this point in time, the industrial IoT is changing the game and tearing down the old silos. Complex machines are integrating with network sensors and are being managed by advanced analytics software. Now, this is also blurring the line between where IT ends and OT. OT is operational technology. This is where the lines get blurred between IT and OT. Now, when IT and OT join forces, organizations are able to unlock several benefits. These can be from process automation and business intelligence to a simplified system for ensuring regulatory compliance. However, there's also an IT and OT convergence conundrum. Next. Next slide. Okay. Now, there are increasing cyber threats happening which are targeting the OT and the ICS networks. ICS networks actually are industrial control systems. They can be of supervisory control or data acquisition, which is SCADA. They can be distributed control systems or DCS, even industrial automation and control systems or IACS. They can also be programmable logic controllers, remote terminal units, and so on. Even the remote desktop protocol, which was, I think, developed by Microsoft, is now vulnerable. There are a lot of malware around like Lokagaga, Triton, etc., which are threatening these networks. It is important to implement tools and procedures that can monitor both the IT and the OT environments. Next. Next slide. Now, the IoT devices actually provide a lot of entry points for any outsider. Even the OT network security tools, they generate large amounts of data. Now, in these conditions, the question to ask is, can IT keep up? There are many standards around in the world A few of them are given here. You can read them. One is from NERC. There's a CIP standard, and there's also the European NIS directive. Next. Next slide. So now I will introduce the speaker for today, Mr. Sabyasachi Goswami. He is the Connected Services Commercial Leader, Asia Pacific from Rockwell Automation. Welcome, Sabya. So Sabi, as we all know him, is responsible for managing the AP sales growth for Connected Services suite of business. This includes the development and management of robust, secure, scalable information infrastructure, including virtualized computing, end-to-end cybersecurity, managed services, and safety. Sabi joined Rockwell in 2019. He has over 15 years experience in successfully developing advanced data analytics software solutions businesses in multiple countries in Asia. Sabi was Asia sales manager for MKS Instruments and Sartorius Stadium Biotech, managing data analytics business in Asia. He first joined MKS as the regional sales manager Midwest in the USA in 2011 and later relocated to Singapore in 2012. Sabi is a bachelor in technology in electronics and communications from the National Institute of Technology, Warangal. We also have Mr. Moon Eluvangal. Welcome, Moon. He is the OT Cybersecurity Consultant, Asia Pacific for Rockwell Automation. Moon has 15 plus years of experience in industrial automation, and he has spent the last 6 years overlooking OT Cybersecurity. He is a GIAC, GICSP certified cybersecurity professional. Moon has handled multiple roles as a consultant, architect, and implementer of OT cybersecurity. He has experience across multiple industry verticals such as power, oil and gas, water treatment, pharmaceuticals, mining, automobiles, etc. Moon has also worked across multiple disciplines like ICS, product R&D lead, system integrator, OT cyber advisory and design, and IT OT convergence. May I now invite Mr. Sabyasachi Goswami to do his presentation on building a roadmap for OT cybersecurity. Over to Sabi.
Thank you, Pradeep. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sabyasachi. I'm Connected Services Commercial Leader based out of Singapore. And I'm going to talk about building a roadmap for OT cybersecurity. As I speak, what I would do, I would quickly give you, Pradeep a little bit discussed about the threat landscape. I would add on to that, what are the key challenges we have for ICS, Industrial Control System Environment. I'll jump onto a bit of solutions and best practices around, again, Pradeep mentioned about a few of the framework standards. And then I would take a customer example and then get into the risk management, where do we start, how do we build a roadmap, and how Rockwell could help. So there's an opportunity. We all know that digitalization or smart manufacturing helps in increasing productivity, profitability, decreasing the defect rates, etc. Right? What we are learning over the last 3 to 4 years is that digitally transformed companies are in better positions to respond to the current pandemic that we are seeing over the last 3 to 4 months, correct? Digitalization mean the convergence between IT and OT. As Pradeep mentioned, IT is information technology and OT is operational technology. So there is a vertical integration, as you see here in the enterprise, connecting the two. One side of it is more of a business systems, transactional nature, that's ERP, MRP, HR, my email systems, the way we are communicating now exactly, though I'm in my corporate network. On the other hand, the operational technology production environment, ICS, industrial control systems, that comprises of sensors, actuators, controllers, materials, and that's your supply chain, and the different OEM machines and equipments, right? Here, the things are operational in nature in real time. Adding to the complexity of convergence is deploying this whole thing across your enterprise wide. Now, this could be one site, 10 sites, 20 sites, across the region, across the globe, different cultures, different region, correct? So you can think about complexities driving consistency and standardizations, right? Governance, manageability, etc., etc. So that's the IT/OT convergence. The question is that, as we do that, how do you manage it? And also, how do you take care of the risk, including cybersecurity threats, right? So IT and OT, they look similar, but there's a difference. And I know in my audience, there are a lot of probably the IT persons who are in charge of the operational technology, the network, ICS environment. The differences lie within priorities, the architectures, the endpoints, the outcome. If I mention a few of them, here, for example, in operational technology and production environment, uptime is the king, okay, with reliability and integrity, whereas in IT environment, confidentiality is the king, okay. Here in OT, the architectures are proprietary in nature, whereas in this case, more homogeneous in nature. Here, things are isolated, okay. And then the OT assets and the IT assets, differences lie in the lifespan. For example, a PLC could remain for 10 to 15 years in life. Here, things could probably be within 3 to 5 years life. In production environment, again, is a combination of the IT assets like computers, applications, and OT assets. They work together to make things work, right? So we got to understand they're working together, but they're coming from different natures, different lifespan, and we got to manage, control the life cycle of these assets in my production environment. So two challenges. One is the cybersecurity threats, and what we have observed. We know that over the last 2 years, more than 50% of the industrial manufacturing companies have been exposed to a certain level of threats, costing about $12 billion. And why these companies a threat? Because there are a lot of loose ends in production environment, as I say that, past infrastructure. This is coupled with the lack of cybersecurity risks, lack of understanding the nature of this, right? And why are companies struggling to address them? Because there is a poor inventory. If I do not know, if you look at the picture, if I do not know what I have, right, it is very difficult for us to protect and secure it. So skill sets, inventories are the two things that I see that is the major reason why we are struggling to address it. I would also like to talk about the downtime, right? The cost of unscheduled downtime, whether it's because of the cybersecurity, whether it is because of the other reasons, right? There's a huge amount of money involved in unscheduled downtime, and we take a lot of time to fix it. Almost 76% of the time we take even before we start addressing it. Some goes in guessing. So if it's a real problem, about 20% finding the root cause, and majority 50% in finding the right skill set. So skill set is one of the major issues in keeping things right in production environment. And as you see here, there's a statement: production environment is a combination of IT and OT assets, hardware and software. They evolve over a period of time and they work together to keep the clock ticking, correct? And our goal is to make sure the systems are protected and we maintain them to keep the uptime, right? So that's my problem statement. Then what we are observing, there is a tremendous amount of increase. I'm going to talk quickly about three things about the threat landscape. there's a tremendous increase in frequencies of the ICS focused campaigns. And Pradeep mentioned about few. We heard about NotPetya, the WannaCry, and how much money they costed us in the past, right? Um, and they exist in different threat models, right? They could be hacktivism, like hacktivists using computer network exploitations, right? There are crimes, individuals and sophisticated criminals, enterprises steal personal information. There are insider threats, employees, right? Knowingly, unknowingly, they cause damages, espionage, nation states, terrorism. In India, we know about terrorism and warfare. So these are different trade model differences which could impact the industrial manufacturers. Uh, and then there are different entry points. The attackers are continuously looking for chances, opportunities, right, to get in. This could be through your direct network, with your IT network. So in this case, if you see the diagram here is the IT network, this is your OT network, your PLCs and operators and workstations, and this is your supply chain, correct? Where your suppliers are supporting their machines. So this could come through the direct here, or they could come here in names of through the maintenance cycle, right? To your devices or through the remote maintenance, where VPN could be compromised. More than 40% from the research, the threats are due to the insider threats. Okay, so that's the threat vectors. If we summarize, right, the perfect storm, it's a combination of three things. ICS insecurity by design. A lot of these brownfields were done or commissioned many years ago. When they were done, security was not the design principle. So we inherited a lot of those flaws, right, by design itself. Right? That means there are flat networks, weak authentications, etc. Secondly, the air gap systems, the isolations have diminished tremendously because of the demand on data as we are moving towards the predictive analytics path, data-driven decisions. So those air gaps have diminished. Coupled with the high increase in the threat landscape, exposure to the threat landscape, right? And if we then look into the visibility, the zero visibility of the ICS network, right? So that's together is a perfect storm. And then the combining the skill sets of lack of understanding how to handle that is a bit chaotic situations there that we got to manage. Okay? So now it's a polling question to you. Something will appear on your screen, and you got to poll. And here, organizations worldwide now understand that they don't have to be the target to be a victim of an attack. And can you please turn on the poll, please? Can someone please tell me the poll is on and then it's going on?
Yes, poll is on.
Okay.
Maybe can you see the results? So let me read out for you. So out of our 40% audiences has participated in this, and out of those, 23% says yes, we had some incidents in the past. 38% says no, we did not face any, but aware of the consequences. 18% say no, we did not face any and not sure if need to do anything. While 20% says I need to check with someone else in my company.
Okay.
Your comments.
Okay, yeah, no, that's very good. So 42%, as you see here, you have seen something, and then 30% you do not know, but you are aware about the consequences, right? So that's good. So more than about 70% people are aware in this audience that yes, something we're going to do about cybersecurity. If I could, am I? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So far, what I did, I was talking about the cybersecurity landscape, the challenges, why we are failing to address them, and what we got to do. In this section now, I'm going to talk about the approach and best practices, right? More on the solutions part of it, right? So what we see that we got to take a holistic approach to address the cybersecurity risk. A secure application depends on multiple layers of protection. As you see here, it's kind of an onion layers, right? And industrial security must be implemented as a system towards that. So protecting industrial assets requires defense in depth security approach that addresses internal and external security threats. This approach utilizes multiple layers of defense, its physical and electronic, at separate industrial levels by applying policies and procedures that address different types of threats. For example, when you're talking about the network, your network security would take care of all the assets that's connected to the network, its endpoint, and including the data in the network. Whereas your physical layer, that would protect your high value assets. All of this required, right? So it's defense in depth. You got to make sure there is an openness. That's where the vendor agnostic systems comes in, because you have automation players from different sources and you have acquired them over a period in time. You got to have the flexibility in the system. And again, the whole landscape, whether it's digitalizations, IT, OT, convergence, cybersecurity, that's evolving. What you knew 5 years ago, what is today, what's going to be down the line, it's going to change, correct? So make sure whatever you are doing, the investment, single dollar that you're making, that could stay, okay? And then consistency is with the compliances, government bodies, standards, framework, right? We got to bring in. At the same time, consistency in multi-site enterprise. If you have 10 sites, 20 sites, 30 sites, 60 sites, you got to make sure that you're able to manage them, govern them in an appropriate way. So that's what we call it's a holistic approach we require, including the policies and frameworks, right? The next best practice we call it, and this is what we call a connected service that I represent within Rockwell, right? And what you see, it helps in building a robust, secure, scalable OT information infrastructure. And this is critical to digitalizations, and this is critical to the business continuity. What it does, it helps you to build your secure infrastructure, protect and maintain your infrastructure. And once you have this, then you're able to manage your asset performance, giving access in a secured way to the partners the way you want, right? Letting them communicate in a very safe, secure manner, and then manage your system performance, bringing in those remote support capabilities and helping you continue without bothering about pandemic situations, correct? On the right-hand side, what you see here are the pillars, right? The converged plant-wide Ethernet network. That's how we build a network, and CPWE is an architecture that we have built together along with Cisco. It's a reference architecture. IDMZ, and again, I quickly get into explaining mode. This is your OT production environment. This is your IT environment. The rule of engagement is set by the DMZs, right? How the data would flow. Our goal is to make sure that access to the production environment is robust, secure, and it stays today and tomorrow, 5 years down the line, right? In creating my digitalization path. That's where the IDMZ comes in here. You get in the virtualized computing environment, right? Hosting IDCs in production floor, hosting all the applications there, reducing your footprint, reducing your loose computers across the plant floors, centralizing them in one place, all helps in kind of achieving those cybersecurity hygienes. Then end-to-end cybersecurity, which I said, holistic and proactive approach. Then creating digital install base, right? Helping you lifecycle management, the MRO spend, And as I said, the life cycle is basically a combination of IT assets, OT assets. They have different lifespan. They have been acquired at different point in time. So you got to have the visibility and control in the whole thing, right? And end of it is that we talked about the skill set resources gap, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's downtime. So you've got to have those managed services capabilities across your sites, across your enterprises, right? Helping you focus more into your core, that's manufacturing, and let these managed services capabilities do things for you, correct? Whether it's risk management and whether it's keeping the things up for you. The next best practice to talk about IEC 62443. It's a series of standards and frameworks under the NIST National Institute of Standard and Technologies. I'll show you the website later on. A series of standards that define procedures for implementing electronically secure industrial automation and control systems, right? There are various certification processes, okay, series of standards, zones, and conduits. So this is a framework that helps you to define which path you're going to take in order to create your roadmap. This brings a strategic way of whatever you are doing, whether it's your policies, procedures, systems, you know, any investments that you are making, right? You're making sure that you are following certain path and achieving a goal, combining your tactical and long-term approach. Okay. We ourselves remember Rockwell Automation, about $7 billion companies, more than 15 global manufacturing centers. The place I sit in, fourth floor, my fifth floor is a manufacturing floor. We follow, we kind of walk the talk with a lot of those digitalizations and security. We have our own security office. We have our own CISO, Chief Information Security Officers. And this is, we follow 62443, okay? And we kind of ensure our products and services all secured. Secure our infrastructure, secure our solutions and services, and I represent connected services. So everything that we do, we follow that framework, okay, in certain ways. And it is very similar to the ISO 27001 policies. So this is more of the letting you know as you are trying to create a roadmap. A framework is very important. The next best practices is about your the network. Okay, ISO 95, and as per the IEC 62443, it helps you create zones, segmentations, IDMZs, correct? And I talked about a few slides back about CPWE that we bring in to make sure that you have the network, a healthy network in place, basically. That's going to stay moving forward, helping your digitalization's journey, at the same time securing every aspect, COVID, no COVID. I said that visibility is a key. Visibility, correct, in your production environment. And here I'm going to discover two things. One, the visibility across your assets. So continuously our communication is happening, right? So you got to know where is the location, which device, right? What are the different applications it has and how it is communicating, what's its neighborhood in your production environment, right? So that's you are going deeper, you are creating a relationships within your communication layers. On the other hand, if you think about different layers and levels of your OT network, you have the level 3, level 2, level 1, level 0, correct? Now, visibility could be real time through our continuous threat detection systems, right? So if I'm able to capture a signature of my good behavior of my production environment, okay, that consists of all the communications my assets are making, correct? So against that signature, I could see deviations, and I could see that, I could prioritize them in terms of the good, bad, ugly threats, right, and make an action almost in real time. Right? So visibility could drive your cybersecurity hygiene in a tremendous way. This is a NIST Cybersecurity Framework. It's a proactive approach. This is our recommendations. As for the framework, there are 5 things. You see: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Correct. Everything that you do under cybersecurity is under the these 5 things. So we kind of break them into 3 things: before, during, and after. Right. So the NIST Framework is a global standard that helps understand risk posture, where you can deploy various assess, design, implement activities to improve overall cyber hygiene and risk profile. This offers a series of services and measures which can be taken independently or in parallel, while providing IT/OT best practices, domain expertise with an automation agnostic approach at any global scale, driving standards across multiple site enterprises. So as you see here in this case, right, in the identify, protect before, you have various services that helps you to understand where you are, what are the gaps, right? This is in real time. You bring in real-time threat detection systems to make sure that you have those kind of traffic lights, right? Red, yellow, green, and where you can act. You can determine the priorities of the threats and what are the natures, and immediately act on that. And finally, when you observe something, how do you respond, recover the policies? And the whole thing is done through your assess, design, implement, monitor capabilities within the framework. Okay. So by recommending a good, better, best model of execution, we provide our customers with options that reflect ease of implementation, financial capital availability, cultural and organizational willingness to change, with a focus on workforce skills gap challenges. As I said, skill set gap is a challenge that we see in the production environment. And we meet that gap by providing remotely managed capabilities or services 24/7, 365 at any scale, single site, within India, global, across, right? So here I take an example, a customer example. So in this case, it's a global pharmaceutical company, 64 sites. The challenges they have seen is the mitigating quantifiable business risk to their enterprise. They needed a fast, scalable, comprehensive OT cyber strategy. One of the challenges was the non-standard patch management strategy, lack of consistent perimeter segmentations within IT and OT networks, creating risk of malware attacks. The third one is they required a rapid visibility of ICS systems threats in real time, and the ability to detect threats in a globally consistent manner, okay, across 64 sites. The solution that worked out was implementation of network segmentations across 64 sites, deployment of threat detection services to gain a daily inventory of system assets that included vendor, model, OS, version, operating system version, firmware informations, while creating a real-time threat detection intrusion overviews of the environment. We also included the endpoint security strategy for application whitelisting and USB cleansing for centralized management of portfolio or portable media in the OT environment. So overall benefit in this case was the improved cybersecurity risk postures, improving global OT cyber hygiene, and developing a comprehensive strategy across attack continuum, right, before, during, after, changing the security culture while deploying solutions quickly in a globally consistent manner. So this was a global large pharmaceutical company with 64 sites, right, across the America, Europe, and Asia Pacific regions. So that's the magnitude and complexity. The second example was more on the oil and gas. Again, I'm just giving different verticals. It just doesn't matter whether it's a pharmaceutical life sciences companies or whether it's a metal mining company or whether you're oil and gas companies, as long as you have OT network environment is subjected to threats. And the question is, how do we make sure that my environment is protected? Okay. So in this case, creation of an OT cybersecurity program. I'm just making sure my clock is working here. Okay. So in this case, creation of an IT cybersecurity program that would help them minimize business continuity risk, managing costs related to technology obsolescence. It's a situation for many of us who has brownfields that was commissioned depending on when, okay. Implement a standard process for capturing OT assets inventory in real time, and implement a scaled real-time threat detection systems, okay. Again, we deployed in this case, what we did in one of the sites, we created a pilot, right? And that was the best combinations. There are multiple sites, 17 sites. Then you choose a pilot that is going to work for you, because depending on the people, resources, knowledge, all things together, that's the decisions. And then once it was successful, we created an ROI kind of a story. Then that was expanded to other 11 more sites, implemented enterprise management console, the view across the 17 sites. So benefit was in just 1 month, they gained full real-time asset inventory visibility with Rockwell Automation deployment help, gained a clear understanding of workforce operations of who was performing what kind of tasks and where, and minimized business continuity risk by reducing the probability of downtime. So this minimized overall business continuity risk. So these are the two customer examples based on the different best practices and challenges I mentioned before. Okay. Next is my second polling question. So if you could turn on the second polling question. In this case, it can be challenging to know where to start, right, investing, and how to make addressing risks that have the highest impact on your business. So do you have a roadmap in place combining strategic and tactical approach? Remember, as I said, it's very important to have that strategic framework in place that's going to stay, right? And you're going to comply those requirements. And the framework is continuously evolving. The attackers are also continuously evolving their game plan, right? But at the same time, I need to combine that with my tactical approach, understand what's my priority and create a path forward, and making sure that every dollar I'm spending is going to pay for me, in reducing the cybersecurity risk. So answer options are here. Yes, you are working on the roadmap. No, we don't have one and interested in building our custom profile. C, it's not the priority for you for whatever reasons. And 4, you do not have the enough information. Let me know when the poll is done and what's the result.
Yes, Abhi, poll is done, and we have got interesting results. Like 57% says yes, we are working on it. Only 20% says I need to check with someone else. Rest 11% no, we don't have the interested in the building of this, and 30% says it's not our priority right now.
Oh, this will all change.
No, it's good. So 50% is good to know that the audience is quite knowledgeable. So there is a framework, there is something is in place. Okay. And again, cybersecurity risks, right? Either you have experienced it or you have not experienced it. If you have experienced it, suddenly you're probably working. And as I said, the cybersecurity risk threats. Yesterday, I got to know that Garmin, if you know the wearables, right? Garmin have been attacked. And there's a ransomware, and a lot of those executives, they wear Garmin, correct? And that is yesterday's news. And people are guessing this could be a ransomware. So yeah, so we never know. So I'm getting into the my presentation mode now. So yeah, so the point here is, sorry, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah. So given the situation, it can be challenging to know where to start investing in, right? So now I'm getting into more of a roadmap kind of discussions, right? So risk management, we got to cover it, right? And we got to cover it in create a profile. And this profile, as I said, at one side of it is a strategic long-term perspective. That's where IAC 62443 kind of standard comes into place. And other side is the priority, keeping a balance between my priorities, my ability to spend, right, my existing environment, my workforce resources. Everything contributes to the situations, right? So this is kind of a blank slate, but we have worked with many companies and created this profile, right? It's a balance between, say, for example, at one side of it in Y direction is reducing the risk, and other side, the X side, is more like how much things are in your control and reputable, right? you do things that is repeated, over a period of time, and how consistent you are in terms of making it as part of your cultural behavior, bringing in more like safety policies. Okay, so here, so this is the profile, and this depends on where you are. This depends on a discussion, and basically Rockwell joins you where you are. Okay. Now, what we have done, we have created 3 profile, right? The good, better, best. This good, better, best model. The good model is kind of a risk-informed cyber strategy. This model, so we picked a few things together, right? And then suggesting a prescriptive way, helping you, people who are not aware, where to start, and then we can start our engagement and discussions that how do you now take this and put it into place, right? And again, I'm talking about the dollar investments, the leadership buy-in, okay, your organizational culture, and how do you make a plan for yourself, right? So this plan is a recommended approach: improve risk posture with limited capital expenses and shortened implementation timelines. It focused on establishing asset visibility, determine current risk posture, develop a base cyber hygiene program, and then OT network readiness. Okay, so there are a few activities and tasks. So this is the in terms of the money and the timeline, these are quicker, right? So this is risk-informed cyber strategy. The second one is repeatable cyber strategy. So this approach is more foundational way. That means you are correcting your base and foundations to some extent than the previous one to improve overall cybersecurity risk posture across attack continuum. And again, attack continuum, remember before, during, after, right? And that's this NIST Framework. With moderate capital expenses and defined operational expenditures. So again, dollar has a huge contribution to what are you going to do, and how much risk you're able to cover. So this combines your reviewing comprehensive install base, deploying segmentations between IT and OT, securing endpoints, deploying continuous threat detection systems, monitoring and managing OT environment. You're bringing in those 24/7 managed services capabilities, and then finally creating a disaster recovery plan. Okay. Adaptive cyber strategy, the best model, good, better, best. The approach outlines a comprehensive OT cybersecurity approach. This is the most comprehensive one, right? This is repeatable and adaptive. It includes your modernizing your install base, modernizing your OT network, expanding to integrated security management programs, augmenting workforce with secure operations. You are bringing in SOC, and then developing incident response handling system. This is the most comprehensive one. Again, depending on the strategy situations, we build in, we bring in the right model there, right? So how Rockwell Health? So Rockwell Health, through its lifecycle services, we have something called design, build, sustain, improve, right? And we cover, as I said, that environment is combinations of the IT assets and OT assets and its lifecycle. So using our capabilities and services and solutions and our partners, we bring them all together and cover the entire lifecycle. And here, our Rockwell role is, I would say, that as a strategic advisor, we can help you build a roadmap. As I mentioned, this is a small picture of the roadmap. We can help you adopt a framework. We can help you assess where you are, what are the gaps, what could be the future plan of actions. As a practitioner, like a doctor who prescribes, right, we could help you solve those gaps, mitigate those gaps. We have people like Moon, who's on the panel here, who would be deeply involved in creating them and solving them as an IT practitioner. As a trusted supplier, I mentioned that we ourselves are manufacturer, we walk the talk, right, and we follow 62443 across our continuum. Okay, every product supplies we make, we follow those security policies. And a trusted partner, we have our own ecosystem partner, whether it's Cisco, with those validated designs, or Microsoft with those web-based solutions, and then Symantec and Clarity endpoints and the security threat partners, right? So we bring them all together along with our services and make it work for you. So planning the roadmap based on all these informations, what we do, as I said, that our approach is basically join you where you are, right? And everybody is in different maturity stage, whether it's digitalization and whether it is your cybersecurity next steps, right? So what we do, the first is make a strategic review, which is a leadership program. Second is identifying opportunities. There could be pilot. I given a case over there, right? And then make a business case, estimate your cost, right? And then create a roadmap, right? So this is overall kind of a thing that we do with our customers. Okay, so that kind of ends my discussion here. And Pradeep, I hand it over to you now for next questions.
Thank you very much, Sabya.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have one question for you. Let's say the OT engineers and the operators are not trained or traditionally focused on cybersecurity. In that case, how can you help them?
A very good question, Pradeep. We call it workforce development. There are two ways I would straight away say. We do understand that it's not just cybersecurity; it's the entire digitalizations, and it's not just India; it's across AP, across the whole globe, because we have a lot of customers. We see there is a gap, and that's skill sets, because manufacturing companies, their focus is manufacturing. Their focus is not this IT, OT convergence, all this thing that is coming in because situation is demanding. So what we do, we bring in our 24x7 remote centers, correct? They're across the globe. They're 24x7, 365. And then we combine different services capabilities. For example, we can manage application support. We can manage the network 24x7. And here we are not talking about preventive maintenance, but we are talking about more proactive monitoring on behalf of the customers. So instead, customer calling us, we are calling customers, right? So we are able to bring in managed services with the combinations of this remote support centers, and also sometimes we combine on-site engineers, right, to augment customers' capabilities. The second part of the answer is more workforce development. Now, as I said, our own example that we in Singapore, we have manufacturing centers, we have double productivity, including the cybersecurity measures we have taken over the last 5 years. And that was not possible if we would not have brought up our skill sets. So we have our training department, and that training department, depending on the engagement, we map the current skill base of the customers, and then we deploy or roll out the different curriculum, the programs, depending on the plan, right? And this could be your e-learning courses. We have about 200 programs. E-learning courses, this could be face-to-face, and again, e-learning courses much more popular now. And this could be simulator-based remote courses as well, right? And then we kind of create a scoreboard for the customers, whereby we measure the difference, how the skill sets is progressing over a period in time, and then improve that cycle. So I answered two things. One is that I bring in managed services capabilities to augment resources, to make sure I'm doing things for you. And secondly, we train the current skill sets on the OT environment, including cybersecurity.
Okay.
Pradeep, did that answer?
I have one question here.
Yes.
How can we integrate networking and digital comms into the OT space?
Okay, so if you have, you remember that we talked about the three things, right? I'm quickly getting into my what I talked about. That will be easier, right? If you see my slide still, right, we talked about the network capabilities, IDMCs, and on the right-hand side, you have the production environment, and this is your enterprise, right? So using these blocks that you see here, we help to create a robust, secure, scalable OT information infrastructure. So this infrastructure helps you to move your data, to get to your data-driven enterprise. At the same time, this environment helps you giving access to your OEM partners outside your network to let them manage their environment in a very secure fashion. So you're talking about secure remote access, right?
Okay. Moon, I have one question for you. Moon, hello. Moon, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. I can hear you.
I have one question for you. How can microsegmentation allow for easy repurposing of the OT devices?
Okay. Microsegmentation in means like will enable us to make a small network. Means like so in the case where we have some legacy devices, means which may be running for more than 15 or 20 years. So in such scenarios, we can easily means restrict access into that particular segment of the network, and we can easily like also means like put some I would say some controls like industrial firewalls or data diodes, so that those legacy devices are not more vulnerable, or like we are reducing that I would say the exposure of such devices.
Okay. Are you okay? Sabi.
Yes.
Sabi, hi. Sabi, I have one more question for you.
Yep.
How can you handle or manage the uncontrolled maintenance access to machines?
Okay, so I
Can
think
you handle?
you are. Yeah, I got the question. I think and this is more suitable to I think current situations, and that is why I think we are talking about this webinar, the exposure to threats that a lot of people from outside are now trying to have an access in the production environment. So immediately, I think if I am the customer, right, and if I am leading a partner getting access to my environment, I would not think much, but I would implement something called secure remote access. Immediately, I will do that. Correct. That would make sure that each and every communication that is happening inside my network, it's happening within a defined or within a definition that I define what security means, right? So yeah, that is one thing that is quick. The second one is that again those segmentations, and I would say IDMC, creating IDMCs, right, would make sure that you are able to give the control to outside in a secure fashion.
Okay. I have one more question. Maybe can I give this to Moon?
Yeah, depends on the question, meaning what question. So yeah, either me or Moon. So
this is something. How can you take care of the missing network segmentation or the unknown data flow?
very good question. I will
How
answer
do you
that.
take?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So thing is that it's the current state and future state. Okay. Again, as I said, that I am in certain situation, and I said that I join you where you are. Now, when I join you where you are, first thing I got to do is to assess you. Correct. So we have under the NIST framework this assess, design, implement thing. Correct. Now the question is, what do I assess? Do I assess your network? Do I assess your security posture? We have, for example, a service called Security Posture Survey. Within a matter of 2 weeks, I can give you a score. It's like my weight, right? If my weight is 80 kilo, which is now, right? If my weight is 80 kilo, I have certain measures. If my weight is 60 kilo, right? I took another measures, right? So we had the security posture survey within 2 weeks. We could turn around with the number, right? Like yield 30% hygiene, and it also tells you what are the gaps. So that becomes a very good starting point to create a path forward. So I think summarizing the question to you is that, if you have gap, how do you assess? So my answer is that we have those different assessment capabilities by which we could understand the gap that you have in your security posture.
Okay.
Did that answer?
Any more questions? Yeah. Ashok, any more questions from you?
No, not from my end.
Okay, then I think
One thing, if I can ask Sebi, if you have any case study in SCADA based OT architecture, do you have any case study?
SCADA based architecture?
Yeah.
no, what he's asking is, do you have any case study to share where you have deployed SCADA or something like that?
Of course we have, but not right now. If your question is, do you have a case where we implemented SCADA? That's a different question. If your question is, no, my environment is I have a SCADA and I would like to protect them.
So one,
right?
Mr. Aryan is interested for SCADA based OT architecture. So he want to know if you have done something in past and what kind of experience you have got. So if you have created some case study, we can share with him.
No, absolutely. So the architecture that you are seeing in front of you right now, I'm hoping you are able to see my screen still, right?
Right.
So that includes your SCADA applications. They are level 3, right? So when you're talking about the CPWE, right, converged plant-wide Ethernet network, and again, I go back to my previous slide, right? So this takes care of your OT applications and OT assets, right? And your assets are combinations of your hardware and software, and SCADA could be a software applications, right, which you take care. So we would be able to build that into the network, and also you'd be able to secure. Moon, do you want to answer? Do you want to add anything here?
Yeah, so all that we do for OT is either means creating a secure network or infrastructure for SCADA, DCS, PLC-based system. So means a secure architecture for SCADA is something that we do daily in our business. So I'm not sure if we have an case study which can be shared. I'm not sure. Maybe, yeah. But that is what we do daily. Yeah.
Yeah. So to add to what Moon said, so that is what we do, meaning almost daily basis, meaning we actually focus in OT infrastructure. We do not focus in the enterprise, infrastructure. And in that OT production infrastructure, we create the network. As I go back to my slide, right? So and again, I like this one. So we kind of create the entire infrastructure here, the network, the IDMZ, the virtualized, we bring in the IDC concept, end-to-end cybersecurity, and not only do supply the system solutions, but we also manage it on your behalf 24/7 remotely. And they could be combinations of your network management, IDC management, OS patch management, antivirus management, all 24/7, 365, or application support management, right? And we could drive an outcome combining these different managed services.
One more question from audience, Sebi.
Yeah.
Like one pharma guy is interested to know about any references, any that you can share with them that you have done with any pharma agency previously. And another guy
Absolutely.
want to know about manufacturing organizations. So pharma and manufacturing.
Yes. So I think pharma is a strength, I would say, life sciences companies. And of course, we have many examples. The examples that I have shown you in my example was actually pharma, correct? I shown you one pharma and one. Yeah, this is a global pharmaceutical company, right? Where we built in. Now, thing is, here I projected only the things related to cybersecurity, but we do a lot of things on pharmaceutical companies. And the second question is manufacturing. So yes, our focus, Rockwell's focus is manufacturing companies only. So all the work, as the answer to the previous question that Moon said, that's a daily thing we do. Yes, so we only focus into the manufacturing companies and make sure that the infrastructure in your production environment, OT, is good and secure.
So maybe the last question, like you talked about NIST Cybersecurity Framework. So that is USA based approach. do you have any other approach, any other security framework for different countries? For India, you have different approach?
Okay, very good question, but I have answered it a little differently, right? Now, again, one of the things that we try to focus in is the governance and manageability. And our main mantra is simplify, simplify, simplify. Now, I can open the things with different complexities and have 100 different books, right? And try to see what is the best. That's not my goal here. So what we said, we ourselves as a manufacturer follow 62443. But there are a lot of standards. I think Pradeep also mentioned there are different standards, but they all kind of, different paths follow the same God, right? So yes, we could have something, we could let you have our recommendations, or if you have someone, we can follow that and we make sure all the tasks, activities, policies, right, they're following that path. We are flexible there.
Great.
Moon, you
Thank
want
you
to
so
add
much,
something?
Sabi and Moon. Yeah, nothing from my end.
Moon, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so just to what Sabi mentioned, there are means like lot more standards. Yeah, NIST is a US-based standard, but like you can find some standard in Middle East called as NESA, which is followed by UAE, and Qatar have a different standard. In India also we have recommendations or guidance standard from NCIIPC. So, but even if you consider all the standards, they are either inherited from IEC 62443 or NIST. Means like there are all of this can be mapped in a way. So there are like to conclude what just Sabi mentioned. Like so, there are hundreds of standards, and all of these standards can be mapped in some way. And so in this session, we just mentioned about NIST and 62443.
Okay, thank you. We have already overshot the time. I think we have now to close the session. Yeah, thank you. On behalf of Dataquest and Rockwell, we would like to thank all the participants for joining us. Sabi and Moon, thank you very much. We hope it has been a useful time spent with us. Thank you, everyone. Have a safe evening.
Thank you, audience. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, everyone.
And stay safe.
And one more thing I would like to say for our attendees, we have a small survey feedback form for you, which you will receive after this webinar will over. So kindly fill in the form and let us know how you enjoyed this session. Is what it was useful for you or not. Any other suggestion if you have, you can share with us. Thank you so much, Sabi, Pradeep, and Moon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.